In Greenwood, South Carolina, this is Meet Me at the Diner with your host, Ann Eller.
Oh, that's right. We're right here at WCRS Radio today. I tell you what, I have a great interview for you today. We are talking with the Crossroads Women's Center with Brenda Feast. She is the executive director of the Crossroads Women's Center right here in Greenwood. It is with great pleasure that I introduce, and of course she's got a big, really big event coming up with Ben Carson coming to town. So that's pretty exciting too. So Brenda, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Ann, for having us on. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. This is gonna be fun. You know, that pregnancy center's right up there on the corner of Durst, and it's become quite an attractive piece of property up there.
Thank you. Yeah, 5 years ago when I started, it was underneath Lucy's Love Shop in 700.
Well, that's an interesting place to be.
Yes, it got quite comical when people would call and say, "Now, where are you?" And I tried to say, "Well, we're under a leg. We're printing. We're on the back side. It's a walkout." And then finally, I just gave up. I started saying, "Hey, well, we're right underneath Lucy's Love Shop." Everybody knows where that place is. And just quite funny since we are a pregnancy center.
Right. Well, I just want to go over because you were actually in dentistry for 30 years. How'd you make that switch?
Well, I was supposed to retire when I was 58.
Okay.
And our church has started a group for single pregnant women called Embrace Grace. And that really was the stepping stone for me to end up at the pregnancy center. Representative John McCravey had reformed the board, set up governance policy, and they hired me. It's quite a God story. And I just felt like God was wanting me to be there. But Ann, I had never been involved in the pro-life movement. I was pro-life, and I never set foot in a pregnancy center except for one time there at Crossroads. And I did that summer before they hired me, and I said, "Listen, I'll help with the baby boutique, but don't ask me to talk to girls who are thinking about abortion." So God has a sense of humor.
Right, exactly. So, and you actually were from Charleston, correct?
Well, we're originally from Chicago. We moved to Greenville in 2000. Then we were down in Charleston for 3 years, and then we've been here in Greenwood for about 9. David works out at the urological office. He's their physician assistant, David Feast. He's a good man to know if you have a kidney stone.
He's a good man to know if you have a kidney stone. I like it. That sounds like a commercial to me. Anyways, well, that is terrific, and I know it's been a growing experience at the pregnancy. Well, it's the Crossroads Women's Center now, but it was called the Pregnancy Center or the Crisis Pregnancy Center at one point, wasn't it?
It was. So Calvary Chapel started it in 1988, so it's been around 37 years. And like a lot of things, it'll get big, it'll get small, get big and small. So we're very thankful that God had kept it alive for all of this time, and to have some very faithful people involved. But just getting the word out that it's there. And once the word started getting out, it was amazing to me the amount of churches that got involved with the baby bottle campaigns, volunteers, and that allowed me then to hire staff. So
sure, but how come they changed their name?
Well, I don't know why they changed their name. When I came on, it was Crossroads Pregnancy Center, and I'd been in discussion with at a national meeting about people starting to drop that word pregnancy off, so women have privacy. When they walk up to your building, they don't want everybody to know that they may be pregnant. So by being called Crossroads Women's Center, it gives a little bit of anonymity. Of course, now that we're on the radio, maybe not. But that really is that's really the reason why. And we do more than just the pregnancy part of it.
What all do you do? And I think you're more than we used to think of these centers for unwed mothers,
Yes.
right? And I think it really is anybody with an unplanned pregnancy. Is that right?
Yes, in fact, we've had married couples come in. They were unsure whether or not they wanted to keep their baby, and some people lack resources. Some people just really need somebody to talk to. So we basically do a free pregnancy test, ultrasound. Dr. Lee Goldstein, he's a retired OB, over 40 years of practice here in Greenwood, and his wife Linda's a retired nurse, and then Angela Darby is a retired nurse. Now Angela also does ultrasound, so she's been certified in that. So they're the medical team, and they're all volunteer.
Wow.
Very dedicated staff, and it's really exciting to see them work and just help people through those first initial, hour of being there. Making people feel loved and cared for, and what are you lacking? You lacking support? Are you wanting to finish your education? There are lots of reasons people think that they cannot be a parent, and we'd like to wipe that away very quickly and just let them know this community is amazing. I know
It
you
is
know
amazing.
that.
Yeah, right.
I was impressed when I used to clean people's teeth and people would tell me all the volunteer things they were doing. So when I came to Crossroads, it didn't surprise me that the community got involved very quickly. And so the young people just don't know what those resources are. So we partner with Pathway House. They need a place to stay. Some of our girls go to Meg's house, the abuse shelter. Connie Maxwell, they have that family care program with Diana, and a Place for Us Ministries. So we just kind of are a connecting place.
But you've also you've expanded your services, and I guess you could only have done that through getting donations or grants or this type of thing.
Yes, we've gotten, of course, the donations. We have some very faithful monthly donors. Of course, we would love to have more monthly donors. You can be a monthly donor for $10 a month, and people spend that much on a cup of coffees. So you just, if we could get enough people to do that, it would certainly take care of a lot. We do have gotten some grants. Oh man, we've got some Greenwood Women Care. I don't know if you know about them.
Yep, sure do.
I knew about that a year after Mary Woodruff put that together and became a member. And so it's
a very good group.
It is.
They do a lot of good things.
They do. So for $500, you threw your name in the kitty, and then it goes to places here in Greenwood, which is great. And then the Greenwood Community Foundation, people have donated we've gotten some grants through there. And then a very generous couple set up a donor advised fund through the Community Foundation. I think it's Stephen Baggett is now the president there.
Right.
Jeff Smith was the president before. And so, of course, the grants we do. We just got a grant from the Self Community for $10,000 and help us starting this satellite clinic in McCormick.
Wow. So you also have one in Abbeville, is that correct?
Yes, we started one last year at the end of the year. It's 2 half days a month. We're stretched very thin on staff, volunteer or paid staff, and so we've got to take things slowly. And so that was kind of our maiden voyage and see how it would do. And it takes money and time to market and people to do that. So we've got more things to do on end so people know that it's there. But we're very, very excited about starting one in McCormick. Lord willing, by the end of the year, somebody already donated the medical table for it.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, how about a ultrasound machine? That has to be pretty expensive.
Did you hear about the one that we raised funds for last year? So our road last year was our fourth Road to Life event. We had Chelsea Cameron, and that was specifically our topic was what is open adoption. And then we raised over $45,000 to buy a new 3D, 4D ultrasound machine so that we could use our old machine, although it's not that old, in Abbeville.
Wow.
So the free clinic over there, their name slips my mind right now, sorry, USAMAC. And they're allowing us to use that property and that building for free.
Wow.
So we took our ultrasound machine over there. So that's why we get to have a satellite clinic. So we're not paying for space. We're using our existing staff. And, you know, it'd be great to be open 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and be able to offer those services. But we just can't do that. And
Sure.
I don't know that that's available, you know, there. And then we're looking for a place in McCormick. We have a lead on a place downtown that may let us use a room. But we're looking for, I want to be right downtown in McCormick so people can walk to us. So if anybody knows of any space that would be available, of course, free would be nice. But
Free is good.
Free is good.
Right.
So basically, yeah, we just work out of a couple rooms over there in Abbeville. So if somebody downtown there in McCormick has a space for us, it would be great. And, you know, we're talking about a lot of fun things, but one of the sad things is that McCormick County has the highest abortion rate in our state.
And how do they have the abortions? I mean,
Pill, or go to Columbia, go to Augusta, go to Greenville.
now that thing with the pill, that you know, I have heard some horrific things about this abortion pill, that this is actually the way I think even our federal government is saying is the way to go on this, and even Planned Parenthood, don't they
Oh, yeah.
go along with that? Yes?
Yeah. So interesting fact, Planned Parenthood makes a lot of money on that because they hope they don't complete it, so they have to come back and pay for a surgical.
Oh, come on.
Yes.
That's disgusting.
It is.
Yes.
It is. So that medication was so dangerous it did not pass the FDA until 2000, and the FDA is a politically appointed position, so it got passed. And then with the anticipation of Roe v. Wade going away, that year before in 2021, the FDA lifted the requirement of having an ultrasound before taking that medication. So you do not have proof of how far along you are, and more importantly, you don't know where that pregnancy is. So someone can have an ectopic pregnancy, take that pill, and end up bleeding to death. That's not coming out of the tube, Ann.
Now, people can get these on the internet. They can. You've got a lot of people that are just doing this without any knowledge of where they're at. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. They can get it off the internet. They can go to the abortion clinic. Our state has a heartbeat bill, so they're not supposed to be given to them after they hear a heartbeat. But I get girls in all the time that talk about their abortions, and they don't get to hear or sometimes even see the ultrasound. They do them to abide by the law, but they don't see them. So the big thing with the abortion pill is, you know, your daughter's boyfriend can get them for her and give them to her, and she's up in her room bleeding, and they'll bleed for 2 weeks. If you go on Planned Parenthood's website and you look up the side effects, you know those side effects are in small print. How many times have you got
on TV? How about all the side effects on TV that they talk about? Oh, take this drug, but this, and this will happen. And I always go, I'll just keep the disease, thank you.
Yes, yes. How many times have you gone to the pharmacy and on that bag there's side effects? And I don't look at I've taken stuff.
I do now. I mean,
you do.
because
well, if I take a new one, I do. Yes.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a teenager, Ann.
Right. Yeah. I know. They're not going to, but it is frightening, the side effects and what it can do to a person. I can't, for the life of me, imagine. But then there's also another side of it. There's the abortion pill reversal, right?
Yes. And sad to say, it's controversial, but it's not. So in the past 5 years, we have written 21 prescriptions. So the way that happens is with the first medication, mifepristone, it wipes out the progesterone in the uterus. 24 to 48 hours later, they take the misoprostol, which causes the labor and the baby to pass. If you come in with progesterone and flood the body after that first medication, there's about a 70% chance that pregnancy will survive. And our first baby that we did that with, that's how I got hooked, Ann. Mm-hmm. That's how I got hooked on this. I felt like I was doing CPR on an embryo. Wow. And it was very, very exciting, and I didn't know that much about it until I got into it, which was really dumb on my part. But it was set up when I came in. They hadn't really gotten to do them yet, but the medical director at that time, Dr. Brian Casey, had been writing that reversal pill prescription for 12 years. So Dr. Casey knows what he's doing. But anyhow, when she sent me the picture of that baby, when he was born in July, Oliver, you can watch that testimony on our website at Crossroads Women's Center. It's Oliver's story. It's beautiful. But I wept. I ugly wept. I didn't ugly cry. I ugly wept. I had people in the office, and they kept like, "Are you okay?" I couldn't get my breath because I've been a part of saving that baby's life. When we went up to Greenville to see him. David and I went up, and the ultrasound tech and her husband, that girl's mother hugged my neck and thanked me for saving her grandchild. So, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, it is most honorable work. It is a shame that there is so much stigma and so much untruth information out there that makes it difficult for somebody that's in a stressful situation to not know what to do.
Yes, and that's true with everything,
right?
Politically speaking, with mainstream media, but. There's enough. There's an organization called Heartbeat International, and we belong to that. So the way the girls get that prescription is there's an 800 number. They Googled reverse my abortion, and this number
Are there
pops
many
up.
people that come in that say, I've started this process and I want to change, I've changed my mind?
Well,
or how does this actually happen?
So this is how it works. So that wherever they are in the country, they Google it, and that 800 number pops up. So they're a pro-life group called Heartbeat International, and they have a telehealth medicine hotline. So that phone number is staffed with nurses. They take the health history. Of course, they're trained to talk to the young woman. She puts them in touch with a doctor, and so we have Dr. Goldstein writing that. So it's a phone call to him. He talks to her. Everything's signed through DocuSign. We get her into a pregnancy test, and he writes a prescription, and then they go pick it up wherever it's closest to them. Some pregnancy centers carry that at their office. We have looked into that, and probably will look into that in the future. I hope we get really busy doing that, Ann, because about 70% of the abortions now are being done with a pill, and girls are getting hurt, and it's being covered up, Ann, because they're so ashamed. They're not going to say that when they go to the emergency room and their parents are carrying in their daughter that's blood-soaked clothes.
Right.
They're just going to say, I'm having a miscarriage. But those doctors need to know they have those medications in them, because it's very dangerous what's going on with them. So, I mean, doctors are smart, especially those ER doctors, and they'll get down to the bottom of it. But parents need to know, grandparents need to know, and most importantly, we're excited about this event being really the young people coming to know, and they can still make those choices. They can decide whether or not they think they have to have an abortion. But people really need to understand the dangers with those abortion pills.
Right. I agree. I mean, I was horrified, and to think, I mean, not to be graphic here or anything, but to think of somebody being at home alone and having this fetus pass.
Sometimes a baby, Ann. Sometimes it's big enough, it's past that fetal development stage, and it is a baby. So that's what I'm trying to get the point across to people, is that somebody may be having a baby in a bed. Somebody may be having a baby in the toilet. And if there's enough stuff out there by Live Action, Kristen Hawkins with the Students for Life, they have a lot of information out there. You can go to that and educate yourself. If you have teenagers, educate yourself. Talk to your young people. Don't be afraid to talk to your young people. But as parents, we had a parent brought in a 13-year-old the other week, and this mother was very upset and was pressuring this young lady what to do. And then we have a 14-year-old that came in, and her mother was young when she had her, and she was all for helping her daughter. And so you just don't know what you're going to have. We're there for everybody, Ann. We're not there to judge. We do not judge.
I have to tell you what a friend of mine told her daughters about if they got pregnant. She told them, and I think this is the funniest thing in the world I have ever heard. If you get pregnant, I'll get pregnant. They just looked at her and said, "Oh, Mom."
You know what? That is perfect advice.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that perfect?
That is perfect advice. I love it. But you know, this has happened for hundreds of years. You know, this is nothing that's new. But people so devalue life, and they think it's the end of their life. But Anne, I've worked with enough girls now that most of them will say, "This baby saved my life." Even young men will say, "This baby saved my life." You had asked earlier about adoptions. We don't do them at the office. We do them through the office. And we've done two. I want to tell you about the first one we did. It was just really amazing. So this young lady came in and she said, "I have 1-year-old twins. I'm pregnant. I don't think I want to keep this baby." And I said, "Well, let's get an ultrasound." So we had her up on the table, and Elizabeth Norris was doing our ultrasounds at the time. Young, peppy, vivacious, just talking all the time. She got really quiet. She had that thing rubbing around on her belly, you know, the gel all over there. And all of a sudden, Elizabeth gets quiet, and Elizabeth's not quiet. And I look over, and you're not going to believe this, but she's barking baby A, baby B. So, you know, I'm starting to sweat bullets, and I try to throw it over on her. And I said, Elizabeth, would you like to tell our client about her ultrasound? And she just shakes her head no and holds up the fingers, you know, the 2 sign behind her back so the girl couldn't see. Well, the girl looked over at the ultrasound, and she said, "It's twins again, isn't it?"
Oh, my gosh. And she had 1-year-old twins at the time.
She had 1-year-old twins, and
I mean, what did she say? I mean, what are the odds of that? The odds have to be like astronomical.
Well, one in 70,000. So Elizabeth tried to lighten the mood, and she said, there's a 1 in 70,000 chance, 70,000 chance that you would have twins twice. You need to go buy a lottery ticket.
Because guess what? You're having twins.
So I didn't know what to say. You know me enough now that I'm not at a loss for words ever, but God shut me up. I got sick to my stomach. I thought I was going to have to run in the bathroom. So I couldn't say anything. I was trying to, like, not lose it. And the girl started to cry, and that paper on that ultrasound table started to get wet. And she said, "Oh, God, I can't kill 2 of them." So it gave me hope. So I took her back in my office, and that afternoon, Carolina Health Centers was sending over a teenager for me to talk about adoption. And I had 3 brochures. We present them with different agencies they can look at. And I told her the truth. I said, "Listen, I've never done this before." And I said, "Would you just take these and think about it?" And we talked for a little while. I probably said everything you're not supposed to say. I felt like such a failure. I went home and I cried because I thought, man, I just wish there was some kind of perfect script I could say and it would change people's mind. But that's not how it works. And God proved that to me because she called 3 weeks later and she said, "I want to talk about adoption." So she interviewed adoption agencies. We had them come to us. We listened to everything they told her. We read everything that she signed, but she did an open adoption. So she got to write the adoption plan. I forget all the things that she wrote, but the one thing that really struck me was that she put on there that if something happens to her, that this couple who got her twins, it was a boy and a girl, they would take her 1-year-old girl twins and raise them with her brother and sister. So she had so many times she gets to see the twins every year. She's just several hours away from them. And so the children know each other. They know their mother. The adoptive parents know the other, her twins. And so it's very, very different, Anne, than what it used to be. And then we did another adoption last year with a baby. And that it's hard. It's hard to see them think about that. But the really joyful part is when they bring you back pictures of the babies that they get on their phone from the adoptive parents. And
sure.
They send the babies clothes. They get them from our baby boutique. They earn stuff.
Right. Well, I know one of the things that Senator Billy Garrett has been working on, as well as John McCravey, is to speed up the adoption process and make it so that children aren't left waiting to be adopted.
Yes, both Brother Garrett and McCravey have talked to me about that, and they're very passionate. Of course, everybody knows how passionate they are about just life and children, and but the whole adoption process can be very expensive. So we vet Christian agencies. There are some agencies we would not use because we feel like we need to be on our girls' side.
Sure. Absolutely. Now, we've got a lot more things to talk about. One of the things we're going to talk about is the fatherhood program that they have started, some of the other ways that you can be involved. And when we come back, we're also going to be talking about Ben Carson is coming to town. It's a fundraiser for Crossroads Women's Center, the Road to Life. That is Friday, April 4th at 6 p.m. at Lander University's Phineas Horn Arena. And so I would love for you to stay tuned, but right now we have to hear a word from our sponsors, and we are going to be playing music on the radio, on Facebook Live, and we'll be playing commercials on the radio. We'll be right back. My very special guest today is Brenda Feast. She is retired from the dental hygiene, and now she's the executive director of Crossroads Women's Center for the past 5 years. Sounds like a normal plan, right? Absolutely. So when we come back, we'll be talking with her some more. So you stay tuned. If you've got a question, 864-229-7984. Text me, 864-229-7984. We'll be right back. There you go. Put your voice. Oh, put your voice on. Yeah, there you go. We are right back here at WCRS Radio this afternoon, having a great discussion about an important topic and also one that evokes a lot of passion. And so we thought it was important that people know that this Crossroads Women's Center is there for everybody. It's not just for unwed mothers as it was, the type of thing in the old days. Now, if there are couples that have unexpected pregnancies too, and they sometimes need some help. So our very special guest is Brenda Feast. She is retired from the dental hygiene. She's the executive director of Crossroads Women's Center for the past 5 years. We're going to be talking some more with her about the fatherhood. We're also going to be talking about Ben Carson and his road to life. He is going to be here on Friday, April 4th. We're going to tell you how you can get tickets, but you don't want to miss this. Ben Carson is a dynamic speaker. I've had the opportunity to interview him several times. Met him, actually, when he was running for president office in 2016. So his story is one fantastic story. And I think we'd have to put a lot of it at his mother's yes. hands, that he turned out as well as he did. And so it'll be great to hear him speak. Brenda, I know that talking a little bit about Ben Carson, what would you like to tell people about this event at Phineas Horn Arena?
Well, the event starts the doors open at 5, and the event runs from 6 to 8. We will have T-shirts for sale afterwards. People have been bugging me for 5 years about selling T-shirts, and we finally made that happen this year. But our theme this year is Dream Bigger, and Dr. Carson wrote a book called Dream Big. And one of the reasons the board picked him is to give young people hope and to help them dream bigger. As you know from his book, Gifted Hands, and there's a movie on Amazon Prime. I encourage you to watch it if you haven't yet. Whether or not you come to the event, he's an inspiration to young people. He grew up in a single-parent household. His mother had a 3rd grade education. And as the story goes, she made them go to the library and check out books. And she pretended to grade them. She had a red pencil and sat and pretended to grade them. And so, as Dr. Carson tells it, when he started loving reading and books, that's what turned around the trajectory in his own life. And of course, he mentions his faith. But we want him to be here for our young people to see someone who maybe grew up in a similar situation as them that they are in now, and that their present circumstances don't determine their outcome.
Doesn't define them.
It doesn't define them. And so that is the big portion why we had him come. And then, of course, with his, he was the first neurosurgeon to separate conjoined twins. Mm-hmm. He was the youngest head of pediatric neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins University. And then he also pioneered the surgeries for babies in the womb. And
he was cutting edge back in the day. I mean,
mm-hmm.
and he retired and actually retired right before he ran for president. Mm-hmm. And his story is an amazing, and it is an inspiring story, and well worth the couple of hours that you can spend there on April 4th starting at 6 o'clock right there at Lander University. So I hope you will get tickets. Now, how do people get tickets, Brenda?
They can go to our website at Crossroads Women's Center, or they can Google Road to Life 2025 Dr. Ben Carson, and that'll take you right to the event page. Students that are 14 and older get in free, and that ticket's available right there through that website. That night, then you just bring your student ID and you'll get in with that QR code that you'll have on your phone. But we want young people to come, want parents to bring their young people to hear that inspiring story. And then we've invited university students at Erskine, Piedmont Tech, Anderson, Bob Jones, other
and I guess
students.
Lander University students too.
Yes. And I believe Lander is giving credit to their students that come for one of their requirements. And so we're just really excited about what he can offer for our young people. And then, you and I may never see the ripple effects from this, but it's about building community. And our young people today, they need hope.
I agree. Well, it's not just young people. We all need hope, Brenda, don't we?
Yes. I mean, these kids lived through COVID. They didn't have graduations. They stopped having relationships with their friends. There's just a lot of things that when you start talking to them about it, that, and then our economy, I have young people that come in all the time. I'll never be able to own my own home. And I don't say anything back because with things the way they were going, I would say they were right. But God has a way of turning things around and bringing hope around. So I really feel like this will be a defining moment in rebuilding our community. He's also going to emphasize how important the nuclear family is and emphasize that to young people. That's something you and I have not, we've seen such a change after the 60s when
the Great Society
yes.
was started where you don't need a daddy. Well, you do need a daddy.
Yes,
Yeah.
everybody wants a daddy. My daddy died when I was 14 years old. And I still miss him to this day. And so
But at least you knew him.
I did know him.
And
yes.
you were old enough, when he died, you were old enough to know that you knew him.
Yes.
I mean, you may resent or regret the fact that he didn't live longer, but you knew him. How many children grow up without knowing who their daddy is?
Yes. And I talk to them, we talk to them quite frequently. So that's why another reason our fatherhood program is so important. And when that really hit me, we had a young couple come in, they were married, and the young man said he didn't really want to be a father because he was afraid he was going to be the same kind of father he had.
And that is a big problem in society. Yeah.
But I would never think that was a reason why you would not choose life for your child.
Well, I can actually see why somebody would say, not going to do it, and that is a shame. That is a shame.
Mm-hmm.
So what
they changed their minds.
They changed their mind.
Yep, and glad they did.
And so, do you still keep up with any of these people? Like, have you
Yes.
seen this guy that didn't want to be a dad, and now how long has he been a dad now? Roughly.
He has been a dad now for three or 4 years. I just put a Facebook post of the little girl Iris singing "Jesus Loves Me" on our Facebook page. Her mom put that on her Facebook page, and I just think, wow, we made a difference. Had a conversation, made a difference.
It has to be a very satisfying job at the end of the day.
It is. It is. There's a lot of hard things that you see and you hear, but hope. There's a lot of hope in that. And I remember holding that first baby that we helped save, and that verse came to mind, "You will reap if you faint not." And you hear a lot of really sad stories, and you go home crying, Ann.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what is your fatherhood program? What do you do in that program?
So that I started, I didn't know, we already had a program set up, and I didn't have anybody to do it. So I started that with him. I said, "You want to be my guinea pig?" And so now, last year, Pastor John Bordeaux moved to the area, and he is the head of our fatherhood program. He's named it Men of Strength, and he has taken over 7 clients that I have had previously and doing a great job, and they really like him. But they need a man in their life, and they want a man in their life. And I'm very excited about this and how this will develop and what John will do with it.
So, how do you help fathers? How do you help fathers? What exactly is it? Just having conversation? What do you do?
Well,
if somebody's interested and says, I don't know whether I want to go to a fatherhood program.
Well, they actually don't come. So a lot of our classes are virtual. So the classes I was doing, one young man was in Charlotte, one was in South Augusta, one was in Belton. So I just go home at 7, get on the thing and say, "Hey, did you watch your video?" They watch a video. They do a little worksheet, and it's all online. So it's very easy. These young men are working. And so then the fatherhood videos are how to help her during pregnancy. Mm-hmm. Things about being a leader in the home. And basically about manly things. How are you going to support her? She's not going crazy. She's having hormone issues. Right. So they bring a lot of education to help them be supportive of the mom during the pregnancy, which they do want to do. And of course, that develops a great relationship.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm glad to see that being manly is back in again. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm glad to see it, Brenda.
I am, and this is something that I think this program will also project and teach these young men, because they're not getting it from society. If they grew up in a home without a dad, they don't know what they don't know.
Right. And so many teachers are female teachers. I mean, we do have more men teachers now than we did. But still, you've got to... How do you learn things like this? And it's like that young man saying, because he didn't want to be a father, because he didn't want to be like his father was. I know at Beyond Abuse that's one of the things that they deal with is young men, not knowing how to be fathers, but we learn by what we see. And if we see a dysfunctional family,
Yes.
We don't know how else to act or how else to do. So I think that things like this, I think what Beyond Abuse does with their groups and everything, all these things help. But the biggest thing would help is if we could have two parents in the household.
Yes, and that's always the goal. And I think they want that. I think they just don't know how to go about that. And I think some of them too might be, there's a lot of peer pressure, but once again, you don't know what you don't know. I don't know how to run a radio station. I wouldn't know the first button to push over here. So
Well, sometimes I don't either, but anyways.
You just don't know what you don't know. And I know that's an oversimplification of that. And then the other part of the fatherhood program is that it's also relational. So that a lot of the young people don't have support. They don't have someone to talk to. Or, one young man said, you remind me of my grandma. I lost my grandma, a couple of years ago. And I don't take offense at that at all. I don't. They're looking for a relationship. I was watching something talking about the statistics of our young people being so disconnected because of all of the technology. And I hesitated doing virtual classes because I didn't want that to happen. But I was really surprised at how you really can connect with people over a virtual appointment and just start a relationship, however we went to eat. And I'm not a substitute grandmother, but they need someone just to listen to them.
Sure.
They
Yeah,
do. So
well,
a lot of
we all can use that at one time or another, right? That's
Yeah.
why we have friends,
Yes,
right? To talk to. Yes.
And the other thing is, I didn't know how to talk to him about manly things. Maybe go over the class a little bit. But Ian, I would be like, so well, how did work go this week? And somebody was trying to change jobs, and I was like, so how'd your job interview go? So it's really conversational. It's nothing hard to do, hard to have. In fact, I'll put a plug in here. Pastor John is looking for male mentors. So if you would contact him or me at Brenda at cpcgwd.org. You can fill out a volunteer form on our website at Crossroads Women's Center. We also need client advocates for the young women too. And there is some training involved because we don't want to damage anybody. We don't want to tell them the wrong thing. We don't want to be judgmental. And so there is some training involved. That's all online. So it's very easy to do. It takes a little bit of time. But we have some wonderful client advocates. We had one, Linda DeVoe, and she would drive here from Clinton. Then she moved to Whitmire, and so she's now about an hour away. So all of her appointments are virtual. She meets the clients maybe once a month or so, or once every other month, and she is there. They do beautifully. And then the young people, we have an Earn While You Learn program. They earn points, and then we have a beautiful baby boutique, and there are brand new clothes. There's pack and plays, car seats, all kinds of baby equipment. And so this is the incentive then for them to take these classes. I have a young lady that's working 312s at the hospital, and she's going to Piedmont Tech. So she does her, she watches her stuff on her phone, comes to a text on her phone. She watches her little video, does her worksheet, and then we'll pick up the phone every other week and just say, well, how are you doing? What do you need? How are things going? She's had her baby already, and we just kind of catch up.
So how long do you follow people if we make it through having a baby and everything? How long do you follow or help, or how does that work?
About 3 years, and that's a board policy that was changed last year from 1 year to to 2 years. So if they come in early on pregnancy, it's basically 3 years. I hope no board members are listening. I would love to see that be a nonstop sort of a thing. If we got enough volunteers to help, and especially doing some support groups with parenting classes. I have young people that stop or call all the time wanting a parenting class, and that's not something that we offer to just everybody in the public. We'd love to do that. I'll tell you, if a church would get on board and just pick up something from James Dobson, focus on the family, and offer parenting classes for 7 weeks, that would be absolutely fantastic. But, all of us, we were raising kids. I used to listen to James Dobson every day at lunchtime.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And his advice is still timely.
It is. It is.
So that is great. Well, you are 2 blocks from Lander. Do you see a fair amount of people from Lander?
We do, absolutely. And it's, by us, wiping that pregnancy part off, it gives them a little bit of anonymity to be able to come in. And they come in sometimes just a girl, sometimes a girl and a guy. And we're very, very happy to be there to listen to their concerns and then just let them know how much help we can be.
Now, is that place big enough?
Thank you for setting me up, Ann. I told Ann earlier the funds that we're raising for the Road to Life event is going to be to enclose the carport. So yes, we've run out of room. We have 3 desks in one little teeny small room. Of course, we're in a house, so this room is smaller than a bedroom. And so we're planning on adding 2 ultrasound rooms, a bathroom, and another office. So we're looking to raise about $110,000.
That's for the addition.
That's for the addition.
And then you still have to buy ultrasound machines, right?
Yes. So we can wheel that one back and forth between rooms. We can make do. So we just need to get the space built so that we can stretch out and be able to serve more people. And then we're going to need more volunteers if we do this satellite clinic in McCormick. What's beautiful about this Bright course that we use, this Earn While You Learn program, is everything is online. So some of our volunteers, they just send the client the text with the little video. They watch it. It comes right back to the website. And through the website, they can get on like it's called Bright Chat. It's like a Zoom meeting whenever, or they call. So everything can be done remotely, whether you're a client advocate, whether you're a client. But it is a lot of fun to have people in the office.
Right. Absolutely.
It is. And we often feed them, Ann. So you may not know this about me, but my love language is food. I do love to eat, but I also love to cook.
Okay. Do you have a kitchen over there, Brenda?
We have a wonderful kitchen, and we have people that will sometimes donate frozen meals for us to use with the girls, but sometimes the girls cook, and sometimes we cook for them. And so if we're going to have a bunch of clients in like we did for today, we are all getting ready for the event. So we ran to Chick-fil-A to get some chicken nuggets. So then as people come in for a pregnancy test, an ultrasound, or they're coming in for a class.
Come in and have some chicken nuggets.
We
and
do.
While you're here, let's do an ultrasound.
Or do an ultrasound. The first thing we do when they walk in the door is, would you like something to drink and are you hungry? And I'll tell you something funny about COVID. So God gave us that beautiful home during COVID. And we had COVID cookies. So you remember how everything had to be covered up?
Right.
So I called a friend, can you make me some cookies, but can you put them 2 in a Ziploc bag?
Right.
So we put them in the big clear cookie jar in the kitchen, and we forever named them our COVID cookies.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. I think that being warm and inviting in a stressful situation is such a good idea.
It's a natural thing to do. To be quite honest with you, I had no training at all on how to run a pregnancy center. And when I walked into that building, I hadn't even been there a year, and I didn't realize the board was already looking at getting a permanent place. And I'm like, I don't even know how to do all of this yet, and learning. And so I walk in the door, and I really did have a conversation with God in my head. And I said, God, how do you want me to do this? And he said to me very clearly, how did I do it with you? And so I grew up my parents loved me a lot, but there were a lot of things that were not right in the home. And I had an aunt. I go to her house, and it was a place of refuge. and she'd keep a daily bread on the table. And I remember sneaking and reading it when she wasn't looking. I'd go to church with her on Sunday. She always had cookies in the cookie jar. I'm serious. So she fed us. And I had asked a friend of mine to pick the paint colors for in the office. And one day I'm walking in and she's painting the color of the kitchen the same color of my Aunt Mary's house. I kid you not. It's that like bright green from the 50s.
Right.
I stand there and I'm in tears. Elise says, don't you like it? And that was just another God wink. That's how God wants us to do it with people. And if you look at the life of Christ, he walked with people, he ate with people, he was right down at the people level. And we can't think that we're better than anybody else. We can't. You can't hold your nose up at young people coming in and they're single and they're pregnant. That's being judgmental. That's not Christian.
Well, there for the grace of God, go I.
Mm-hmm. So to invite people in, just like you would your home. Come on in. You're thirsty. Of course, if they're having morning sickness, we try
May
to
not be helpful.
No, we try to have some ginger drops, but it's really fun. And then the volunteers too, they're coming in and to have something there for them to eat because they spend a lot of time there, and it gives us a chance to take a break. I call it a productive pause.
How many people have you actually served? Do you have any idea?
Last year we had 154 in, and I came at the end of 2019, and I think they had 20 that year. So in 5 years, what is that? 20 to 154? I don't know what that is. Five times as much.
5 times in 1 year.
In 5 years.
In 5 years.
Yeah, well, we're going into our fifth year.
Right.
So that, God has really blessed that. And then the way it grew was, of course, our dedicated board. And I have to mention our board members, if you don't mind. Alan Hughes is our president of our board. He was on the Faith Home board for a long time and helped out there. Max South is our vice chair. Carrie Keinert is our treasurer. Abby Drinker is our secretary. Dr. Susan Sheridan has been on the board for a long time. And then Monica Paris joined us. I hope I didn't forget anybody. And Monica Paris joined us a couple years ago, and then Representative John McGravy. And these people support me. We have monthly meetings, and they have given me so much direction. And, of course, God brings together very, very gifted people. And I'm like, so, I come to them with a problem, or they tell me what, all this buying the house and everything, they just took care of it. They came, they looked, they're like, do you like it? And, they just help us make and then I didn't know anything about fundraising. So that 5 months, God sent me somebody to help me with that. I thought it was the thermometer at church, going up, and that was all there was to it. So God took somebody like me who knew absolutely nothing. He gave me gifted people to help me. And in 5 months, we saw $43,000 come in during COVID, Ann.
That's pretty amazing. And
then have you seen the new parking lot?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So I had to tell a parking lot story real quick. So I'll give you the shortened version. We saw $20,000 come in less than 5 days to buy that piece of property.
Wow.
That we put that on. And it took us several years to get the trees down and get things done. But it looks so beautiful. And we're so thankful to have the space. We had about 8 spaces before, but we'd have a volunteer meeting, and we were trying to figure out where people were going to park, and park at the church or their lander and walk down. You know how far that is.
Right,
so
sure.
We're very, very thankful for that parking lot. So God opened up a lot of things for it to do, and of course, being able to serve more clients has been the biggest blessing, because you just want to help more people. There's so many people out there that need help, that want help. There's some people that need help that don't want help. Mm-hmm. And we had someone like that today. And they walked out, and that's fine. That's their choice.
Sure.
So,
absolutely.
But we had a baby born not too long ago. There are going to be pictures of baby. You just look at the look at the Facebook page. That gives you the biggest.
What is the Facebook page called?
Crossroads Women's Center.
Okay.
And you can look down through there and see all the babies. I love putting the pictures of the babies on there, and that's the highlight for all of us. In fact, that's how I get a lot of volunteers. You like to hold a newborn. They have to be about 2 months old before they bring them in, and it's just a lot of fun, and it's family for some of our volunteers that come in.
Absolutely. I'm sure it is. Yeah.
It is. One of my friends, Jane, She has a beautiful family. She has two sisters, and her mom's in her 90s. She's got a great family. But she was sitting at the kitchen table one time, and Haven had a young lady who was abortion-minded. I knew that. Jane did not. We don't share that information. And Haven brought her out in the kitchen to get her some food. And I said, sit down and eat with us. We're having a little lunch. And Jane just looked up and she said, welcome to the Crossroads family. And you should have seen that young woman's face. You should have seen it.
Was that a defining moment for her?
It was. She just started talking, and she is now a client.
Wow, that is terrific. Well, we have been talking about Crossroads Women's Center. Their location is, what's the exact address?
428 Grace Street. Isn't that beautiful?
Yes,
We're on
Grace
Grace Street. Mm-hmm.
It's on the corner of Grace and Durst Avenue right there. So if you know somebody in need, have them knock on that door and go through that door. And, they may walk right back out, but they may find the help and the support that they need. So that would be a good thing to do. Also, we'd love for you to be at the Road to Life with Ben Carson. That is a week from this Friday, April 4th at 6 p.m. at Lander University, Phineas Horn Arena. You can go to your website.
Yes.
Is that right?
You can Google Road to Life 2025 Dr. Ben Carson. That'll take you to the event page in the ticket stripe. Or you can go on our website. You can find information on our Facebook page, too, at Crossroads Women's Center. So like and follow us, and like and follow Ann.
Yeah, there you go. I appreciate it. Well, Brenda, it certainly has been a joy to have you here. Though sounds like there is so much good stuff going on. We just need to be able to grow it more.
Yes, please. Thank you for this opportunity, Ann. I really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and talking about it. This is going to actually conclude what we're doing here. This has been a Facebook Live and on the radio. And so if you've watched it on Facebook Live, or if you got to hear part of it and now you'd like to go back, please like and share it so that more people will know about what happens over there at the Crossroads Women's Center. Sometimes you see signs and you go, wonder what that is. It's good to have had the opportunity to sit down and talk about it. Brenda, did you have anything else you'd like to say in closing?
No, I don't, Ann, but I just really appreciate this little corner, seeing your little world here at the radio station. It's amazing.
It is kind of amazing.
It is amazing. And we're neighbors. We're not too far apart down the road.
Absolutely.
Here.
Well, that's going to do it for us. Have a good night. I'll be back in the morning, so make sure you tune in for the I Love Ann show right here on WCRS Radio. Bye-bye, everybody.